I've done it because if I don't do something when I'm thinking of it, I'm gonna forget. Then yeah, so I have to do it there and then. Really? I should probably do that.
Well, I do the same thing too. It happens. It happens. See, that's an
Indeed.
Exactly.
There's a lot going on in the mind.
Wow.
That's all that it is. Hmm. So did you guys do your homework? Did you go and revise these papers?
Not all of it. I'm gonna be.
No, you couldn't have done all of it because not all of it was relevant to your test, is it? Sure. Or you didn't do all of the allocated questions? Okay.
I think you said
Question 2, 3, and 7 of 2022.
exam.
Mm-hmm.
And then the test you said
Question 1
2021.
of 2021, yeah. Nope.
Okay. We are fatigued.
You're fatigued.
We are so fatigued. We don't even know how to deal with it. After this lecture, going home.
After this, what else is there after this?
They have business. You're writing the thing on campus. I know. Don't let this year end fatigue beat you. Equal to doing 3 by classes. And then, why don't you want to try? No, not doing it right now. I think I'm usually when I
Okay. So maybe let's get going since you guys are already tired. Then we see where we actually end off. So if you guys can get through test 2, I can promise you now you'll pass my module. Because when I look at this exam, I see they're asking the same questions that they asked in your test 1 for theory. And then, yeah, match questions. And then this is the exam. But remember, I'm showing the exam because they are asking relevant questions that are for your test 2. Mm-hmm.
So are we going to get our tests back?
Yes. I'll bring them tomorrow. I'll bring them tomorrow.
What am I even?
Because I'm seeing you last time this week tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Am I even
If I forget, just remind me. Okay.
No. My friends is not like I know.
So
I'm coming here for attendance and I'm coming here because I don't want that to move.
okay, so let's discuss because I'm displaying answers. We're not calculating, otherwise we'll never finish. Okay. So it's really just technique and obviously revising. Okay. What's important here when it comes to your test 2, in fact, stats assessments, is you must understand what you're doing. You must understand which formula to use. You must be able to apply. So here, for question 1, they say the following grouped frequency distribution table indicates the number of clients per day. Yeah. Okay, sure. So you guys can see clearly now, or do I need to zoom in a bit? Let me try and zoom in. Okay. Yeah, that should do it. So they say the following grouped frequency distribution table indicates the number of clients per day who made a purchase from a shoe shop over a random sample of 50 days. Okay, cool. So there you can see number of days, okay? and they're basically letting you know how many people came in. So let's see now what they're asking. Calculate the following using the appropriate formula. The mode, all right, interpret your answer, 4 marks, okay? This would be so easy if it was individual data, but unfortunately it's grouped, all right? So what then must happen? We have to use the formula for finding the mode for grouped data. Now you might have the formula, but if you do not know what the different things stand for, then you are in trouble, okay? So going back to our formula, okay, let me use this right here. Here's our formula. This is our formula here, isn't it? Okay. But now we see L there, and the L is the lower bound of the model class. So before we can even begin here, we have to know what our model class is. Okay. And here under calculation, they help us. So this is, it's good that you're here because in as much as you have the solution, you will then also be able to make use of the solution more because obviously you are in class. So here, model class is the most frequent. So in other words, the one which has the most people that visited. So if we look 40 to 50, there were 23 days where we had 40 to 50 clients come in, okay? So that obviously is our model class. Remember your mode, when we were just looking at individual data, not group data, it was the most frequent. So it's the same thing with group data. Which of our variables or our brackets is the most frequent? And that falls between 40 to 50. Does that make sense? Then we have that, all right? What is our lower bound? Our lower bound of our lower bound, they're saying is 40. Where are they? Oh, yes, yes, yes. Lower bound of the model, or the model, what do you call it, class, okay, is 40, all right? Therefore, our upper bound is obviously 50, but obviously we're not concerned with that. So then what does FM stand for? It is the frequency of the model class, okay? F1 is the frequency of the model class preceding, in other words, before the model class that we've got. Then F2 is the frequency of the model class succeeding, all right, ahead of it. And then W is the width of the class, okay? And all the classes have the same width, which is 10, okay? So in other words, the range of that class, all right, or our classes. So all you then need to do after identifying all of those, you then now need to insert your data, which is exactly what we've done over here. You insert your data and then you come up with your final answer. And then obviously we need to round this off to a whole number. So the model number of clients, therefore the most common range of clients per day is 46, because we have to obviously round it. You can't have 0.77 of a client, isn't it? Make sense? All right, so that's the first one. That's how we get our mode for grouped data. Okay, using a frequency distribution. Then we move to the second thing that they're asking there. They're asking for the median. Median we know is the middle number, all right? So again, now the formula is obviously going to change, okay? So here we can see this is our formula. Again, so FM is again what? FM is your median class, okay? Median class. And somebody tell me, what is the median again? What is the median? It's the one in the middle. Okay, so here we're looking for the one in the middle. Okay.
Does that mean I was going to, like, the number of days I'm going to put them in the and then find the middle one?
Sorry, say that again.
After
The number of days?
The number of days
Yes.
I was going to put them in order and find the one in the
No.
middle. Or do that with the number of
What we have to do in order to find the median class is you have to say, okay, well, firstly, cumulative frequency before the median. So median is the middle, isn't it? So how do we find the middle? We have to say this 50, the total number of divided by 2 to get the middle. Then we look for where does that one fall? It falls between these two, isn't it? 40, 25. Oh, it's cumulative, isn't it? So the first one, let me do it here. I can't write on that. Do I have the table? So here we have, if you add these two together, you're going to get 12, isn't it? And then if you add 12 to 23, you're going to get what? 35. All right. So then it means that 25 should fall within. Does it make sense? It's what? Yeah, but it's one of those, I understand. It's one of those you have to practice. Otherwise, it's going to throw you off. So then we go back. Then we say, okay, so can you see now how we found our median class? Through cumulative frequency before is 12. Can you see? That's what we were just discussing now. So then we say, okay, now we have the cumulative frequency before the median class, which is 12. Okay. We know that n divided by 2 is 25. And then Fm, we know is what? What is Fm? Yes. Frequency modal class. Okay, which was that same 40 to 50, isn't it? And then times your width. And the frequency for that modal class is this 23. Okay. Which, oh, they actually highlighted here. I should have used that. It's a better way of explaining. We already established the lower bound of the modal class, so that's fine. Then before the cumulative, yes, they're just reiterating that. Okay, so there you just need to fill in your formula. Ignore this portion, because this is now, it's just this, it follows this. Okay, so this is what you would have substituted. Let me use a different color. This bit here, you'd have substituted all the relevant values. Okay, but again, to get this right, you need to understand your formula nicely. And how are we getting the relevant group, which is going to determine when we get the cumulative frequency before the median class. Okay, so that you just need to make sure on. So this is not hard. It humbles because we haven't practiced enough, isn't it? If we're to be honest. But this should not throw you off, okay? Because the only other thing that you will need to do in the test is to do the calculation to say, what was my cumulative frequency before getting to my actual median? So, okay, I know that I need to find where whichever class gives me 25. So that's where now you have to apply yourself to say, okay, first group or first class gives me 4. Second class cumulatively gives me 12, because we're adding 4 and 8 together to get 12. Then third class gives me 23 frequency, but cumulatively, like we highlighted earlier, gives me 35. So within this 35, I know that I'm going to reach 25. Does that make sense? And that's why we chose them, or sorry, that class as our median class before we can proceed. Because remember, in the formula here, it says, oh, I skipped it here. Yeah, it's asking for, sorry, yeah. Here, it's asking for the cumulative frequency before the median class. So if you can't get the median class, you can't answer this question. Does that make sense? Okay, right. It's not bad, guys. It's not bad.
No, sir. It's
Yeah.
not bad. I thought it's much more than
Then?
do you have any
Oh, okay.
no, like any theory based
Stuff.
because as soon as you understand the concept and know the application, you're fine.
You'll be fine. So here we've got, again, we can't get 0.65 over client. So our median, in other words, our middle value in terms of number of clients is then 46, which is close to our mode, okay, which is good. Then here, the third thing they asked us to do is to then determine the standard deviation. In other words, calculate the standard deviation. But in order to calculate the standard deviation, we first need to have our range, we then need to have our mean, we then need to have our variance before we can actually calculate the standard deviation. So here, when I looked at this question, I was actually like, bravo. They did a really good job of making sure that you know your story, because yeah, you would have been thrown off if you just went to look for the formula for the standard deviation, because the formula for the standard deviation is the square of your variance, and you'd be saying, but where is our variance, not knowing that you have to calculate the variance. So let's start there at the beginning. Calculate the range, right? So to calculate the range, simple. We know that the range is simply your highest minus your lowest, okay? To get the range, okay? So there, 20 minus obviously 70, and you get 50. We get our range. Then the next thing we want to do is to get our mean. In other words, get our average. But again, what are we dealing with here? We're dealing with grouped data. So we can't just say, hey, what is the total number of all our variables and then divide by the number of variables that we have. We have to use the formula for grouped data, which is this one right here. And we know that that is then the sum of what? The sum of the frequency of each class times the midpoint of each class, okay? Divided by the total number of observations. Okay, so we basically have to go to each class. The first class you see there, 20 to 30, all right? So 20 to 30 20 plus 30 divided by 2, you get the midpoint of 25. Right, next class, 30 to 40, we add those two, you get 70 divided by 2, and then we obviously get, what now is this? We then get 30, that's where we are. Then we do the same thing for the other classes. And then once we're done with that, we can then move on to then get the frequency, which is actually given to us. Because you can see here on the left, the number of days, in other words, the frequency, it's already there. So there they've just done a duplication so that we can nicely flow and understand and see what we're doing. So then once you've timed those two, and times the frequency times the midpoint of each class, which is what we're doing over here in green. that's not what I wanted. Over here, you can see, and we've added that for each class, we then get a total, right? That total we then divide by, as we saw in our formula, the total number of observations, okay? And voila, we get 45.4. So there is our mean. We now have our mean for all our data. Now we can calculate the variance. And remember, guys, I'm begging you, net test 2 is coming. This here formula, I want to use this formula here. Remember how it is in the back of your books. Let's look at that. In your work packs. Let me see if they have it over here in this paper. Remember we said, remember when we first did this, we messed up a little bit. So if you look here, I'm hovering my cursor around it. This is the formula I want you guys to check. This one here. Can you see that? What is the difference between that Am I looking at the right formula here? I want variance. Yes. It is the should be. Yeah, should be the right formula. Measure total. Okay, this is the one. This is the one I'm looking at. This one here. Okay, so now, because this is for group data, this one's for group data. So now, what I want to highlight is, can you see that one has brackets and the other doesn't? The one that we have in our formula sheet doesn't have brackets. The one which we have in our solutions has brackets. Now, remember when we first did an exercise where we were calculating the variance, our calculation and what we had in the back of the answers was different. It was because we didn't have brackets. So please remember that you need to have brackets, because that changes your output completely, okay? And mathematically, I'm sure you guys understand why that is the case. All right, so anyway, so now remember that is this big E at the beginning of our numerator is the sum, okay? So it means we have to calculate this thing for all of our different classes. Can you see? We did it for all 5 of our classes. Let me go back so we can see. Yes, you see, we have 1, 2, 3, we have 5 classes here in question 2, okay? So once we've now calculated that, right, we know that we now have to times by the frequency, all right? Once we have done that, then we get the sum. So you see, here we've times by the frequency, and then here we get the sum of our numerator. After we get the sum of our numerator, then we can divide by the number of observations. So variance, guys, please make sure that you're comfortable with the variance. And then once we have our variance, which is the 95.93, standard deviation is easy because it's just the square root of your variance. All right, the formula, I believe they said S squared. Okay, because S squared is your variance, or in some books they'll say, because maybe, I don't know if they're doing this because it's group data, I've forgotten. You'll forgive me. They're using this, okay, because that's also for your variance. Okay, is it making sense? Everybody happy so far? Are we good?
Where are you in the brackets?
Let's go back. So I have to go all the way back. Sorry, all the way to the bottom. So the one in the formula sheet, and this is also important in the exam. You're probably going to get the same formula sheet. So here, because isn't we dealing with group data? So can you see where my cursor is going around? Oh,
It's the second one.
it's this one. Can you see? This one is where we don't have group data. This is for group data. The brackets are supposed to be around x and nx.
So
Can you see?
the one that you highlighted is M.
Yeah, it's M. You know, sometimes they use slightly different notation, but it's the same thing. Okay? But it's the same thing. So can you see now where the brackets are supposed to be? Supposed to be
By the X, before X, in between.
yeah, before X.
So the brackets would have -2.
Yes.
What?
Wait, this formula looks very, very different. Oh, this is not -2. This X is the mean. Is the mean.
So this is the only formula
Yeah.
that gives you 2.
So far. So far. Because remember, we haven't finished the module.
So we were using all of these
For group data. Yes. Remember, you don't need to master the formulas. You just need to remember where your brackets are going, basically. Does that make sense? Because remember, we give you this. And then you must be able to apply. Not even next week, the other Monday. This time I have high hopes. I'm actually scared of how many burgers I'm going to be ordering.
Why?
Because
You see how fatigued we are?
no, you guys are going to kill it.
You see how fatigued we are? I love your confidence.
Yeah.
May God give you another best. My sister is very fatigued. Yeah. That thing is working. Yeah.
So
Yeah, well,
the memo that you uploaded is very
is it blurry? When you zoom in, is it fine? What are we going to do, man? Okay, that means I have to do screenshots. Yeah, means I have to do screenshots. I think that's the best way. Okay. All right. So that is question. Is it question 2? No, there's one last bit to question 2. This people should be getting 5 out of 5. What are they asking us? A researcher interviewed a sample of 50 females leaving a local supermarket. The consumers were asked which brand of soap they used. The results, is what personal. Is that what she said? The results regarding the popularity of the soaps are given in the following table. Okay, so here you can see Dove, Peers, and yeah. Draw a bar chart to graphically illustrate the results given in the table. Give all final probability answers as percentages to 2 decimal place unless otherwise indicated. So this important information is for the whole of question 2. It's not pertaining necessarily to 2.2, because 2.2, remember, is asking about. Did I say that?
Yeah.
I lied, shame. I lied. No, but I honestly did believe that you weren't going to draw graphs because, I mean, graphs? Really? So, yeah.
But then this one is basic.
It's basic. I mean, you just need to remember, bar graph, we have gaps. And obviously, unfortunately, I didn't have the scale on the side, which you obviously would need. You can see the scale, the graph is also labeled. popularity of soap bars brands among female consumers. And then obviously we've also labeled the respective bars. So we can easily identify Dove and so on and so forth.
So the in like the bar graph there needs to be spaces.
Yes, there needs to be, and then a histogram, there's no spaces in between. Okay. So because they could ask you, I've seen in the other papers, they asked for a pie chart, they were asked for a histogram, and this here.
So a pie chart,
No, but
just thinking the same thing.
yeah.
no, but pie charts, think about it like this. All you need to do is write the percentages or the number of the respective section. Does that make sense? So it's not about like making sure that it really is 20% of the pie chart. Does that make sense? So don't worry about it.
So sir, in terms of a pie chart, so I'd say 15 out of 30 get a percentage, 10 out of 30 get a percentage,
Yeah.
and 5 out of 8 get a percentage.
Yeah.
How I draw it, it does not matter. They're not gonna measure it.
But please try and do a circle, please. Just
Yes,
try.
it's going to be a circle,
Yeah.
but like those lines that divide.
No, I'm not concerned with that. If the space is also too small, don't write in that pie. Just draw a line and then put the percentage for that.
So if you can see that 15 is bigger than 10, 10 is bigger than 5, you don't like it.
No, yeah, man. We at the end of the day, we want the knowledge. Do you know what this thing should look like? We're not testing whether you're artists or not. Make sense?
You lie.
I lie.
You lie.
Yeah, shame.
Has 4 things.
You know this graph, ne? Let's just pretend it's looking as it should. I can see a lot was going on in here, and yeah, I'm only noticing this now. But yes, it isn't what it should be. I see we have 2 of the same. So, but you get the point. You guys, this is why I'm saying I don't know why they're asking you for this, because we did graphs and diagrams primary. So the fact that they're asking you this here, this is 5 marks for free. That's why I was emphasizing to say, make sure that you show the scale, make sure that you label, you know, because I can tell you now, that's probably what's on the memo, to say, have they labeled the graph? Have they shown all the respective options or preferences? Have they done the scales accordingly or correctly? Yeah, shouldn't be asking this type of a question here at this level. But guys, I think let's quickly just get a break, and then we'll proceed with the questions at hand. Oh, my watch is ahead. Oh, we still have time. Still have time.
5 minutes.
This watch is ahead. Sorry. Yeah, we have 5 minutes. So, okay, let's get into question 3. Question 3. What are they asking us here? Here they are saying a bag contains 12 red and 9 blue marbles. You are asked to select 2 marbles from the bag. The first marble selected will not be placed back into the bag. So this is exactly the question we did together off of our workbook. One of the revision exercises, I just don't remember which one exactly, but this is learning unit 5. Okay? And then they say construct a probability tree to indicate the various possible outcomes and their probability. What is the probability that the marbles will be different colors? Can you see in the workbook, they asked us what would be the probability if the marbles are the same colors. So it's literally just the other way around. So there you have your probability tree.
It's the same as revision
Exercise
exercise 5.
5, exactly. Thank you for that. So here I just want to show the decision tree. So I didn't even calculate the probabilities at the end, but this is what I mean when I say at the end. So you guys need to do that to calculate and I would advise leaving them as percentages. You see, percentages for my mind is just easier to see, okay, roughly this is what we're talking about. So yeah, just in case, I know some people might want to leave them as fractions. It's fine, you'll get your marks, but I advise you leave them as a percentage. But anyway, so here you can see, remember we said we're not replacing or we're not putting back the marbles selected. So what's important here is just remembering how many balls you have left right, of the particular color and how many marbles you have left in total. Okay, that will give you your probability for your respective options. Okay, so remember, we're also talking about an event that is happening. It's a joint event. So when we pick the first marble and then we pick the second. All right, we're not saying these are separate experiments. Okay, so yeah, that is your decision tree, right? You get your probabilities. Then we're saying the probability that the marbles are different. We have two outcomes where the marbles would be different. Number one, this one here, where we pick red and then we pick blue, or where we pick blue first and then pick red. Okay, so you would obviously then add those two probabilities, okay, to get, here's where we're doing that. Let me zoom in here. What is the probability that the marbles will be different colors? Okay, so we're saying either or of those outcomes, 1 and 2. All right, so that's why we add the first to the second, and then we get a total probability of 51.49% as our final answer. Okay, right. I think my 5 minutes is up. So we'll continue with the second part of that when we get back from the break. And then we'll finish off this paper, and then we'll just do question 1 of 2021. Okay. Is this helpful?